welcome to episode 12 of Scribbles with Jonathan. I'm your host, Jonathan Rector, and this is going to be a three-parter, and it's going to go pretty quick. Hopefully, I tried a couple new setups when I was drawing this, and it comes across well. And if not, I mean, we can treat this as a trial and error, and we'll go better from there. Basically, what this is going to be is sometimes I like to do these warm-ups, like I know a lot of people do in the mornings. But sometimes I like to do a little extra, like spend a little extra time just creating whatever comes to mind, or if I have a theme or a story idea and I just want to get an idea out. So I'll take them to a little bit more of a tighter finish. Again, not like 100%. These are just things that I might spend an hour doing, if that, just to get the idea out of my head, or just to experiment with different angles and things like that. But what I have been doing is on my site. Drawings that come across mostly lately they've been superheroes, but the ones that I do that I don't think end up being too bad, I toss onto my store, and people can pick it up if they enjoy it, and that's kind of where this is going to end up going. At the end, I'll give you guys a link if you're remotely interested, or anything else that I got on there. But I do try to like to do these often. I've been out of the loop for a little bit, and hopefully this will get me back into it. So the idea that I was going for in this one was originally it was going to be some sort of forest guy, like a forest god, or an animal god, something like that. And as I was going on, I was doing just a little bit of brief reference and thinking of ideas in my head. And I was thinking maybe like a wolf guy, like a wolf god, not like a werewolf or anything like that, but maybe like a hunter that had killed a wolf or some sort of forest animal, and wore it as a costume. And you can see me going into it now. I had done the human form underneath, and now I'm just going over top of it and adding like a wolf head. And towards the end of the video, you'll see how drastically different, like personally, I think that it ended up going. And I ended up going with just calling it what I thought it would be, and it was a forest alpha, something that would be in the forest that not so much controls or runs around on everything, but just something that's pretty much the top of the food chain in the forest. But it could mean other things too. It's not so much that he has to hunt everything, but kind of like a Tarzan, a little more primal feel or whatever. I don't even know if I got it accomplished by doing it, but it was fun to do. And I got to experiment with quite a bit of things. And I mean, I don't get to draw animals that often, and drawing animals is always a treat because it challenges you, and anything that challenges you is really something you should really strive to keep doing. Because whenever there's a challenge, it's you hitting a wall, and what you have to do is you either plow through that wall or you get what you have to do and get it done. But you find little shortcuts in order to get through these things. And right now I'm just throwing in some quick details, ideas of where I would like things to go. Nothing here is final. This is all just, if you're familiar with the other videos, I talk about this a lot. It's getting a rough idea of what you want down, and then throwing in some mild details. Right here I'm working on a little bit of the anatomy, kind of tightening it up, but nothing at this stage is final. It's far from. I do want to apologize right now as I'm watching this. The camera does jiggle around quite a bit, and since I'm speeding it up a bit, it does move even more. And maybe I should put like a disclaimer at the beginning, like a barf bag needed to watch this or something. So if you are getting a little sick, I apologize. I know I'm getting a little queasy looking at this. Here I'm a little struggle with the bicep, and especially here, this is something I know I struggle with. Where with the forearm, I understand how the forearm works, and just throwing the muscles on the forearm when it's in perspective, in the hand there. And what I end up doing in the hand later on, or I'm not sure if I do it right here, probably a little bit later, I end up adding a staff or a cane in there. But towards the final version, I actually remove it. And the reason I did that is because at this stage of the game, I was still thinking of the wolf setup, and I didn't want him to be your classical hunter. I wanted him to be more of like a shaman, somebody that's spiritually watching over the forest and things like that. But as I start tightening and finishing it up, it does start getting a little bit more rough around the edges. And the staff at that point didn't seem like it worked, so I was thinking maybe I could add a weapon, but then, in a forest I don't think they would use weapons. I end up going with claws. I think that would work a little bit better. And here, just working on the abs. I'm trying to curve them a bit to make it look like it's going, in space behind it. Just a little close up there so you can see the details. And right here, what I'm doing is I'm just fixing up anatomy, you know, putting in quick, and I mean nothing final, like actual set pieces on the body. Gonna finish up the legs here, get those guys planted in. It's a little trick I like to do when I do the leg muscles. Uh, just adding in a quick shape. I'll explain a little bit more when I go into the other leg. Okay, here we go. So basically what I'm just doing is I'm outlining the shape and the motion that I'd like the leg to follow. And right here I put a connecting point from the inside of the hip to the middle of the kneecap. And I just do like two straight lines, and then I round it out in the middle to give it a more, bulbous form, I suppose. And, just to place the muscles. And the thing is, too, when you're doing muscles, I find I like to put in all the muscles, and if you have an idea of if the bicep is flexed, you can add in a little bulge where the bicep is because it's being flexed, it's bigger. But the reason for me anyway, I put a good chunk of the muscles in is once I take the final line, I have more line to choose from. And if I don't like a certain line or a muscle, you don't have to add it in at all. It's just it lets me in my mind pick and choose the muscles that I'd like to show. And here I'm just adding a hand. It didn't work the way that the hand that I have it right there. The forearm's actually going back into the background a little bit, and the way I had it would curve it out awkwardly. So here, hopefully I get it across this time where I push it back a little bit, and I hope it comes across, especially with the fingers behind it. Gives a little bit more, how it should be, I would think. And yep, we're still going along here. Now I'm just starting to add in some various shapes for the actual design of the costume. I don't really have any reference, going on in this right now. Just things that, shapes that I'm putting in and building off the shapes. I'd highly recommend getting some reference and ideas, especially when you're coming up with designs. Something like this, I could have very easily looked at, I don't know, tribesmen or something like that, just to get an idea of shapes, colors especially, if you're going to try to figure out color schemes, and just, take from a bunch of different sources and see what you get from there. It's not every day I see a wolf guy or a shaman or anything like that from the forest. Who knows what they would wear? But I always think it's good to pull a little bit from reality because you miss out pieces that you normally wouldn't get. And by looking at reference, you can actually find ideas and things that you normally wouldn't think of and toss them in, and instantly, it becomes relatable. And what I did here is I took out my kneadable eraser and just erased the face a bit. It was getting a little bit muddy. And here I'm just building a little bit of the structure. Here you can see his little cat-like. I was struggling with this part because I originally wanted it to be a wolf. And then as I was going on, as you can see here, I started adding antlers. And I thought those looked pretty cool. It helped bring the form out a bit. Then as I kept going, it started looking wolfish to me, which was good. And then I started adding a little bit of thickness around the jaw. And then I started seeing like a bear. And at that point, at literally that point, that's when I was like, I don't care too much if it looks like a wolf. If it looks like something else, that's fine. The meaning that I want to get across is the forest spirit, guardian, or in the case I ended up going with, the alpha, which could mean anything. So as long as it came across as an animal, the specific animal didn't matter too much, as long as it looked like an animal that might live in a forest. So we're coming up to a close, so basically I'm breaking it into 3 parts. This part is just the rough phase, the next part will be tightening up, and then the third phase will just be finalizing it up and adding shadows. So I hope you guys stick around with me and you find this a little bit interesting, and we have a good time. So the video 1's closing, and stick around for part 2. Thanks.